Well, hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. In this episode we've got plenty of foxing action for you. I recorded over the last few months. I'll try not to make it so long next time. Make sure you're paying attention because I'll also do the draw for the O-Light torch, which I mentioned in a previous episode. This is Team Foxer. Well, hey guys, welcome back to another episode. It's been a while. I've come down on a solo mission to the farm shop because I had a call from the owner. They've lost quite a few chickens of late and they've seen foxes going back and forth in this paddock. Now, I don't want to jinx it, but usually it comes up trumps here. We've got a pretty high success rate. So, while I go and get the caller on the fence post and get set and wait for Charlie, let's take a look back over the past few months' action and catch up with what's been going on. So while I get my leg over at the farm, some of you may remember a short time ago the gamekeeper fitted a new shooting hatch to his Land Rover 110 along with some fancy LED lighting just to make our foxing outings that little bit easier. I'm nice and comfortable in the back, so it's time to get down to the farm and get straight on with the foxing action. We certainly didn't have to wait long. Pulling up at the first stand and putting on the caller, this vixen came bounding over the bank to the GC500 vixen in heat call. I thought initially she was going to come along the bank side, but she actually did a little jaunt to her left and came further out into the field and just sat there observing at roughly 170 yards. The shooting hatch out of the Land Rover means I'm going off with the bipod, so it makes those slightly longer distance shots that little bit easier. Put the dot on the bib, squeeze the trigger, and down she goes. The old shooting hatch does it again. Down the embankment. Bet that don't look anywhere near as steep. Oh yeah, you're having a wee.
Morning.
I can't actually see you because you're camouflage. Not because your will is small, but anyway, back to our Charlie. Ooh, you booker. Straight in a trot. Oh dear. Oh, vixen. That has made a mess. Before you lot start moaning at me, it's YouTube's algorithm that blocks the content if it's too gory. That's why I use the Team Foxer logo there, just to cover up the nastiest bits. Fox number 2, however, much easier. That one there was already in the field as we arrived on the farm. Similarly, fox number 3, a bit further out, but almost at the exact same shot in the same position. I think on this one I was going across the bonnet though. Skipping forward a few weeks now, so a little later in the year, you can see that fairly thick rape field behind these two foxes here. This is a vixen and cub. A couple of cubs had been spotted by a farm worker here, and the direction the fox is travelling in is actually one of the main strips of cover where we have the pheasant shoot. We managed to call it out into this wild flower meadow that the farmer has to encourage wildlife, but unfortunately we need to be able to control the foxes on this patch here. Otherwise we have no wild birds left. The fox clearly had seen me though, because it was a relatively still evening this one, but I was able to stop it just before it went back into the rape and dealt with the vixen. I also got a cub on that occasion as well. Ooh. Look at that hen bird sitting real tight. don't think that hen bird realised just how lucky she was. I'm now out with Rick a couple of weeks later. Much windier evening this one, but once again we pulled up in this area that we'd not been to a while. It had been too wet to get to it before. This fox came in like an absolute steam train. It's headwind, as you can hear on the Nitesite here. It's really rather windy, and it stops just as the crop changes, so I can only see the head, but sometimes that's just enough. That's all you need. Oh, I don't think there was any mistaking that we'd actually hit that one, and certainly where we'd hit it. I kept the caller going, as I often did, and managed to even call in the vixen. Now this one came in the field behind us. Again, you can see the wind here as her tail is being blown to her right, and wouldn't you just know it, we did manage to stop it. It stopped just behind the foliage yet again. There, and then I'm guessing somewhere between, straight into the wind as well. This one, it's a pretty windy evening. I think we're up to 19 mile an hour wind, so I won't be taking the stuff too far out. Hopefully on the recording the wind noise isn't too bad for you all. It looked to be just as the crop was changing. Yeah, I think it's, here it is, look. Yeah, just as the crop changed. Cool. To be fair, I did go for the head. There we go. There's Mum and there's Dad. Well, that's a great result. Spotted that dog fox in the field, the first one I shot first, headshot, from the road 600 maybe yards away. So we came all the way up the squaddy track. A little bit ginger. It probably don't look too bad here, but believe me, it's wet. But anyway, we made it up. Just about. It looked like you got slick tyres on now. Called them both in successfully and dealt with. So we will crack on. That's 3 foxes down so far. Indeed, the thermal spotter proving an invaluable tool nowadays for foxing. Similarly, this one spotted from a long way off. You can see the eye shine coming all the way up this greens field. I'm back out with the keeper now on a much calmer evening, but again, the caller was able to pull this one in from several hundred yards away. It was just a case of being patient, and then I simply lip squeaked it into a good range, and it hit the dirt. The next one is a different evening again, out with the same keeper though. This fox was going up and down the dike side. It's exactly the sort of area that wild pheasants would have their chicks in, so they can often pick up an easy meal. So controlling the numbers if you've got a wild bird shoot is a pretty important part of keepering. Straight, literally dead ahead, 235 yards. I'm surprised he didn't react at all to the call or anything, because the wind's up our arses, so it's blowing everything towards it. They weren't interested though. Not one bit. Even look. Well, it looked, but that's it. He's a long way, isn't he? Yeah, he is a long way. He's here, look. Good shot. You'd think I'd never shoot anything at any distance with that comment. Dark one. Yeah. Good nick, isn't he? Well, he ain't that big, is he? No. The foxing action will resume in just a couple of minutes time, where I will also announce the winner of the i3T, kindly donated by this channel's main sponsor, Olight. Before that though, please pay attention, heads up if you're after a good gift. Olight have got a fantastic sale starting on the 26th of this month, running for just a couple of days, where you can get your hands on this super impressive Warrior X Turbo. In limited edition desert camouflage colour, this powerhouse of a torch is capable of throwing a beam 1,000 metres, mostly thanks indeed to its 21-700 5000 mAh battery. Featuring Olight's amazing magnetic charging technology, this system will charge the battery 0 to full in just over 5 hours. With no complicated modes, it's simply high or low beam, which makes it a perfect spotting torch. Supplied with this tactical fastening case, the unit can easily be attached to one's person in a variety of ways. Despite this torch's aggressive styling, the unit fits incredibly comfortably in the palm and is indeed very ergonomic. Also available not just in desert camo but in black and with a multitude of accessories, this really is a very versatile spotting torch. Or flashlight if you're in America. Now, seeing as this is a foxing film, I have taken this torch out foxing. These woods here, as you can see, are just shy of 300 yards away. Now it's quite a dusty evening, but what you can see here when the camera focuses is the incredibly tight beam of this spotter allows a very bright picture. And as I pan around to the right here, this dike stretches the best part of 400 to 500 metres away, and we could still see a very tight beam. Now I also thought I'd compare it to that beam of the Seeker. Here you can see the Seeker is a much wider beam, and as the name may suggest, is my go-to torch for finding shot quarry. However, if you want to light up a set of eyes several hundred yards away, the Warrior X Turbo is certainly the torch for the job. With that light halo just around the beam, you have an incredibly tight spot. So head over to the website link below, and don't forget, year round you can use discount code ROBIN10 to save 10% on any non-sale item. Again, that code works year round. Right, let's get back on with the foxing action. And the winner of the Olight i3T is B-Rabbit. Meanwhile, back at the farm shop, no, not the diddly squat one that everyone's talking about at the minute, the farm shop near me, I'm stalking my way up the fence, very gingerly, just making sure I'm not bumping any foxes that are resting up in the paddock, and putting my caller on the fence. I then go and hide in the shade of the trees, because it's quite a moonlit area. Get the caller in position, go and hide up in the trees, as I mentioned, just in the shadow of the trees there. Put the caller on and wait for my Charlie. Well, 10 or 15 minutes in and a couple of calls, and nothing had been seen yet, so we'll get back over to myself and Rick out on a fox call that we'd had only just a few weeks ago. Here you can see this crop is starting to get quite tall now, so we don't have many days left really before this crop gets too tall to see. So it was a case of getting out when we could. What this little clip does indicate though is the power of the lip squeak, where you're able to kind of pique the fox's interest and keep it interested every time it stops to try and gauge the direction of what it's coming into. A couple of light squeaks keeps it on its toes and keeps it interested. We played this one quite well because the wind is coming from left to right here. But again, just a couple of little squeaks just to get the fox's attention and keep it interested. Make sure it's in range, because sometimes when you're shooting off of sticks, you sometimes get a little bit jittery. So I know I do, you can tell here, look, it's still perfectly within range, but I was wobbling a bit, so I just wanted to make sure it filled the sight picture before taking the shot. These next two foxes were taken on a solo mission I'd had, where my PBIRL laser actually gave up the ghost. But so I want to say a big thank you to Paul Baker for turning around my torch and getting it back to me very quickly. And I also want to say a big thank you to Ludicrous Lumens as well, who sent me an awesome IR to try out in the meantime. So I'm going to do a comparison video of that, those two IRs, because they're certainly two of the best IRs on the market, but I'll have a comparison video coming up for you within the next few weeks. This fox here that I'd shot, as you can see, back to the truck at 265 yards. So that scope I swapped over to, that Hawke Frontier scope with the 24x mag, definitely worth it. Back out with Rick now, and this fox here not at all interested in the call. We spotted it way out on the right hand side. It went all the way back around the truck and was heading to a rather well-known location where it's not uncommon to find fox families at this time of year. So me and Rick took a little trip over the direction that the fox went in, and what should we find? Indeed, it looks like this one's going to be a busy little session. So we watched and observed from several hundred yards away, and then we decided it was quite a still evening, this one, with so not much wind, not much ambient noise. We're right in the middle of really nowhere here, so you have to be very, very quiet, and this is where your stalking skills really need to be on the A game. Rick decided to hang back slightly because we were on a gravel farm track here, and I decided to go a little bit closer. So in this next sequence here, you can see Rick recording using the thermal spotter as I take the shot as the adult stands up. It's a good job he was recording, because I actually lost sight of the fox. It went down straight away. How this fox got up and ran, it's beyond me, because it certainly went down with a decent thump as the cubs run for cover there. But as you'll see, I lose the fox in the sight picture. Like I said, it dropped like a stone to begin with. I thought that was well and truly out for the count, but it got up and ran, and then I lost it. So again, just showing the real advantages of having a thermal spotter with you. So like I say, Rick's filming this, so he can clearly see the two cubs there, but as I was panning around using the night vision system on my rifle, I just couldn't really pick them out. So what we did is we walked forward another 100 or so yards and just waited for some time. About 20 or 25 minutes later, we managed to pick off just one of the cubs that evening, and since then we'd been back and mopped up the rest. Back out now onto the same farm that I had the vixen and the cub near the rape field there, and we know that we've got a couple of cubs to deal with. The terrier man's been round and couldn't find where the other cubs were, so we installed a couple of cameras and picked up some wildlife here. You can see a muntjac just passing by, and then we also captured this lovely looking roe deer who paused for a photo right in the middle of the picture there as well. We didn't actually capture the cubs, but I was still convinced that they were in this area, so myself and Steve took a little trip here in the daytime to see if we could find out where they were hanging out. There is an old badger set down here in this bit here, and as I walk in, well, I literally fell in the hole.
Video.
Looking straight in.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, feathers in here.
I don't know whether they're still here though.
No.
Don't look fresh, but
Well, a couple of evenings of observations, and yes, we had indeed spotted 3 cubs remaining in the area. Here you can just see one relatively close at 65 yards, and then there's another one much further up the field at just over 130 yards. Now, in my experience, cubs are a little easier to stalk into, but again, they are born with natural instincts. What we didn't anticipate was spinning round and finding Dad walking towards us. Once again, he kind of sat out and watched and observed from a distance. We did try calling, but he wasn't really interested. So I took the shot and downed him at just over 220 yards. So I went out and picked up Dad, let the area settle down for a little while, and then we went back after the cubs. "20 minutes later, another one came out real quick. I didn't get time to capture it on film, but I downed that one as well, as the last remaining one kept coming in and out and in and out. Again, I did manage to get it, but it wasn't on film. What I will leave you with is this final clip here that Dwayne managed to capture on his thermal. Well, a disappointing evening at the farm shop there. I probably talked that one on, didn't I? Luckily, we've had plenty of foxes over the last few months, so I hope you enjoyed those clips. I'll try and be back a little bit sooner next time. Thank you very much for watching. Take care, stay safe, and as always, happy shooting. I'll catch you in the next one.